A very warm welcome, everybody, to our drivers' press conference ahead of the FIA Formula One Singapore Grand Prix. Two groups coming away as ever, and as you can see from left to right in Group 1, we have Lando Norris, Alex Albon, Esteban Ocon, Mick Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton. A very warm welcome to you all. Please, can we start with Alex? First up, great to see you back. How are you feeling?
Good, thank you. Yeah, it feels good to be back. I came here, obviously, I feel ready. I feel as fit as I can be. And, we had a good week of training, or 2 weeks almost, to get back to where we are today. So, we'll see how it goes. Obviously, we're realistic, and we know that we're coming to the most difficult race of the year. So we do have to be mindful of that. But I feel good. I've been karting, and it's felt okay. So yeah.
Are you in pain?
No pain.
No pain, no gain. Look, it must have been a very frustrating weekend for you in Monza. You'd been looking forward to that race, knowing the car was going to be competitive. What was it like sitting on the sidelines? And just a quick word on the job you thought Nick de Vries did.
Yeah, well, firstly, I was supposed to be asleep for a few days, and I woke up pretty much 30 minutes before the start of the race, and so I could watch it. But as you said, it was frustrating to watch. The heart rate went up a little bit, and they were keeping an eye on me to see. They told me they had to switch it off at some point. But it's only because we had such a good car on Friday, at least. And when I woke up on Saturday and there was kind of that decision, it's always should you risk it or not in terms of driving. But we did the right thing, and Nick did a really good job. Obviously, I think we know that Monza was going to be a good one, but he brought home some points, which obviously, in the bigger scale of things, it's very good for the team, and yeah.
And what about car performance here? You went well in 2019, qualified 6th, raced to 6th. Do you think the car will be as competitive here as it was in Monza?
I don't believe so, but we never know. I think we've surprised ourselves a little bit this year with some circuits, so we'll give it a go. This circuit's a little bit more down towards let's say downforce, and there's a few corners here, so not quite like Monza, but we'll give it a go.
All right, well, it's great to have you back. Best of luck for the weekend. Lando, let's come to you. You've been here for a few days already. How's the acclimatization to the heat going?
I think I've not done too much, just exploring little bits here and there. But that's it, not too much else. So just having a little look around, going to some different restaurants and nice places for dinner and lunch and everything, but that's all.
If the camera just zooms out a little bit, there is a bit of strapping on your leg. Any serious issue there?
No, nothing serious. Not ideal, but I should be fine for driving. So,
all right. Well, look, let's talk about this racetrack. We haven't been here for a few years. You've raced in Singapore once before. Just what are your memories of the track? How excited are you to be back?
I'm very excited. For me, one of the coolest tracks on the calendar. At the same time, one of the most difficult to put together. So rewarding, I think, come qualifying especially. You'll probably talk about Lewis's lap a few years ago, but like completing a lap here and putting everything together and crossing the line, it's definitely one of the most rewarding places, similar to Monaco in some ways, to nail everything and get that feeling inside the car. So I loved it. Was a decent weekend that I had here back in 2019, still my first season. So I've missed it. It's just warm and sweaty, but it's an enjoyable place to come back to, and definitely a fun racetrack.
Damon Hill described this track as Monaco ×2 recently. Can you relate to that?
It's different. I think there's more. Let's say there's more slow speed corners, less kind of medium to high speed, which I think Monaco has a little bit more of. Of course, you got the final corner, but that's about it. Monaco, I think, is I feel like you got to take a few more risks here and there. And judging things are a little bit more difficult for my feeling in Monaco, whereas Singapore is a bit more stop and go consistently. So it's a different challenge. I guess there's a lot of walls, and if you get too close on the inside or the outside, you can easily make mistakes. But yeah, a different challenge, more corners at the same time, but still tough. Not a lot of room for error, but very enjoyable.
All right. Thank you, Lando. Best of luck to you. Lewis, coming to you now. Lando's just referenced your pole lap from a few years back. You're a 4-time winner here. Just give us your thoughts on being back in Singapore.
Well, it's good to be back. Obviously, 2019 feels like a lifetime ago for everyone. So it's great to be back in this beautiful city, and the track is epic to drive. It's that night it's a very bumpy ride, 23 corners. I think that lap back is it 2018? Yeah. I don't remember every single part of it. I've not rewatched it, but it was definitely one of the best laps of my career. So the hope is always that you one day get to experience something similar, but the feeling of that day was something very unique.
And in terms of performance, there was a time early in the hybrid era when there was at least the perception that Singapore was a bit of a bogey track for Mercedes. Was that how you viewed it back then, and how do you see it now?
I would definitely say that it was a track that we had struggled at quite a lot, and I think it's probably due to some sort of, I don't think it was aero-based, it was more probably ride quality, that we just hadn't been as good as some of the others had been. We'll discover if that's a true philosophy this weekend, or a true theory this weekend. But yeah, I think they've resurfaced some parts of the circuit, so hopefully it's not as bouncy as before.
And in terms of competitiveness, where do you see yourself? What are your hopes?
We hope that the car works better here, but as I said, it really depends how bumpy it is, and the bumps often set the car off and upset the car in a lot of instances. So we do know it's going to be bumpy. Maybe the car will be fine, maybe it won't. So I have no expectations that we'll just going to try and have the best weekend with whatever we're faced with.
All right. Well, best of luck with that. Thank you, Lewis. Esteban, let's come to you now. Before we come on to this weekend, I did just want to ask you about a couple of things you got up to during the break. Happy birthday. But also, tell me about your love affair, if that's the right expression, with the UFC, because you were doing certainly went to a gym, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. So I went to the best training center basically in France, MMA Factory it's called. I was there with Mick actually, who got a bit of sparring. But yeah, I mean, I love the sport. There are some great values, and obviously it has become legal to fight now in France in MMA, and the UFC has come to Paris recently, so it was a huge event, and there are some great French athletes, and for me it was important also to bring a friend of mine, giving him the opportunity, to meet the best coaches, in the world, and to place him there was very important for me. So now it's up to him to get on there and fight with the best.
Can I just bring in Mick here? Sparring. UFC, MMA sparring. How was that? Was it with Esteban, or who were you with?
So I wasn't the friend he was just mentioning. I'm not getting to UFC. No. But no, I got to... he showed me some moves, which was interesting. So now I can defend myself.
Now, Esteban, back to you. You've raced here 3 times before. Just give us your thoughts on the track and what you think it's going to be like with these stiff 2022 cars.
Yeah, first of all, it's great to be back here. I mean, had such a warm welcome, since I arrived. A lot of cool presents, cool drawings. We visited a mall this morning for a car launch, for our car launch, road car. There was so many, supporters cheering for us, and that's definitely boosting us for the weekend. It's a challenging track, really challenging. There's a lot of corners, as we said. It's hard to put it together with, especially with these cars which are very stiff. There are some curves which are quite sharp, quite hard on the body. So it's going to be an interesting one, but I feel ready.
And you've got a new floor this weekend. What effect do you think that's going to have on the stopwatch?
Yeah, I mean, fantastic, job by the team to keep developing the car, like we've done since the beginning of the year. We've made huge steps each time something was coming. So I look forward to see what it's going to give us. It's quite a big upgrade, but again, it's important for us to have a clean weekend and hopefully use it the best we can.
All right, best of luck to you as well. And Mick, back to you. You've never raced here before. Just tell us about the challenge ahead. What are you expecting?
Yeah, I mean, I can only refer to what everybody else is saying, as I've never raced here myself. So I guess that the humidity is one of the points that probably everybody talks about, but also the track itself is, rhythm. I've done a few simulator sessions or on this track and watched a load of videos on this place, but really excited to go out there and make my own kind of experiences of this place.
And you've been teasing us on Instagram saying that you had something special coming, I think, for Singapore. What can you tell us?
It's for Japan.
Oh, it's for the Japan. Okay, well, that's the question for next week. Look, best of luck to you as well. Let's open this to the floor. And who has our first question, please?
Andrew Benson, BBC Sport. Alex, for you, two-part question. First of all, obviously respiratory failure sounds pretty serious. What sort of physical preparations have you been doing to get ready for here, and how confident are you you're going to be able to see through the weekend? And secondly, you've had lots of challenges through your career of various kinds. How have you been viewing this one?
So firstly, I would say it was more kind of bed recovery to begin with. It's quite a tricky one because you're basically waiting for your lungs to recover, and at the same time your body can't move as well as it normally can, so you can't just jump back into normal training. You have to slowly build into it. So it was kind of starting Monday last week when we really started to push it and see what we can do, and treated it like a 9-to-5 job. Training and recovery, of course, recovery is really important. So basically throwing everything, and day by day it was getting better and better, and then obviously we got to a point where the recovery was going really well, and I don't think we truthfully had in mind Singapore on the cards, but just with the way that the speed of the recovery, it was definitely a possible thing. And as I said, we sat long and hard to think about it. What shall we do it or not? And I feel like I am ready. So of course we'll have to wait till FP1 and tomorrow to see where it's at, because it's driving around here is a bit of a different beast. But yes, and then in terms of I guess setbacks, it's a small one really. I've missed out on a race. I've been very lucky. I've had very good doctors around me who are in Italy to get me back into a good place. So I feel very fortunate, and I only missed out on a race, so it's not a big deal.
Alex, what are you most anxious about before getting back in the car?
I'd say it's more Singapore. I think it's the humidity. I think everyone's touched upon it. It is the hardest race of the year, that's for sure. And I think I'm not sure how the others feel about it, but I feel like these cars are quite different. Maybe not quicker, but they are physical in their own ways. They are so stiff. It's a different toll on your body. So in terms of actually the surgery side, I'm not worried about that at all. I know that's fully recovered. It's more just the after effects of being in intensive care basically, and the toll that has on your body. But like I said, I wouldn't be here if I didn't think I could be able to race.
Thank you. Yep, another one.
Alex Cannon, Lucas Autosport. Question to Lewis, please. Lewis, you just said you don't know how the Mercedes is going to respond when it comes to being on the bumps around a street track. But what about all the work the team has done to improve the package in recent months? Is there anything particularly like knowledge that you've gained that might help, do you think, to make things be better compared to how it was in Monaco and Baku?
Oh, 100%. We've learned a huge amount about the car, and much which is natural for everyone. But it's definitely huge help knowing where the working window is, what the working range is, and so we're able to predict pretty much where we're going, whether it will work in one place compared to another. And also the limitations of the car, we know where those limitations are and how to we just have to try and work around them. So yeah, I think we were very fortunate. We're in a much better place, I think, than we've ever been. So I hope that we're not far away.